Let's go. Let's go. Shout out to Antoine, super chatting before we even get started. Brian Kelly is undoubtedly the most successful and proven coach LSU has ever hired with the resources and recruits in the boots. We'll get ROE. TW. ROE. We'll get row. Let's go. I'll figure out what ROE means in a second. But Antoine, the king of the mustache club here at PHL. I'm really excited to do this live stream. Obviously, the question right off the jump here, would you prefer Daronte Jones, who held Alabama to 6 yards rushing, or would you prefer Marcus Freeman? What's up, Yusha? Good to see you. Sip G says, Daronte is the answer for at least 2 years, in my opinion. I like it. So, Antoine, I agree with this. Right now, I'm really high on Brian Kelly. There are some things that do concern me about BK, and that will go a little more into detail for tomorrow's Brian Kelly deep dive. So, I know yesterday on the live stream, I said that we were going to do the Brian Kelly deep dive at 6. That was me thinking that the opening day press conference was going to be today. But no, he just flew in. Tomorrow morning at noon will be Brian Kelly's opening day press conference. And also, a key thing in judging Brian Kelly is who he's going to hire as the next defensive coordinator. So that's why I also wanted to do this live stream tonight before we actually do a deeper Brian Kelly dive in like a normal video. But I know a lot of you prefer the live streams anyway. And of course, I got a fresh cut just for you. Let's go. So let's go back to Antoine. Brian will hire the coaches he needs to be successful. All he's done in his career is win at lesser programs. I agree with that, Antoine. Let me run something by you. Antoine is one of our deepest thinkers on this channel. Let me ask you guys this, okay? How big of a concern is it that our dear friend Brian Kelly, in the past decade, has gotten very lucky because of two things, okay? USC, Florida State, okay? So when Brian Kelly started at Notre Dame, Florida State still had Jimbo Fisher, and they were really powerful. And as many of you know, Florida State and Notre Dame play a lot. But towards the end here, Brian Kelly has gotten to play against lesser Florida State teams. And even to a larger degree, Brian Kelly also got the good fortune of playing against bad USC programs. So not only at Notre Dame was he playing an easier schedule, the teams that recruit in the top 25 on Notre Dame's schedule, who they play essentially every year, those teams weren't as good. So we'll see. I do agree with Aaron here. By far the most successful hire at the coaching position by LSU ever. So we'll see. I'm pretty excited. Master Blaster, I'm so excited that I inspired so many of you to change your photos. I'm tired. Like Doc Knock has switched things up on us a little bit. Noel has switched things up on us a little bit. Yesterday, Noel had a little photo of his son watching film like Daronte Jones. I like it. I love it. Let's go to DRC, who's been with us for quite some time. DRC, how long have you been a fan of the channel? You've been here for a good little bit. I'm done being in my feelings. Kelly is going to be a great coach for us. It took us a second to figure out who he is because he is so low-key. Okay, so Kelly's personality is somewhat low-key in that he's very terse in press conferences, but he's not necessarily – I don't know if I would consider him low-key in the same way that – like a Dave Aranda's a low-key. He's as low-key as low-key can get. But I do agree that this is not Orgeron. This is not Les Miles. This is not going to be a boisterous personality. Now, Brian Kelly does have a personality, and I will say this, okay? I have never seen a major sporting figure in my life bomb a joke as hard as Brian Kelly did after the Florida State game earlier this year. He said some old idiom that people took out of context, but the executed thing, and trust me, I know a bomb. I know when jokes fall flat. That was the hardest bomb I have ever seen. And trust me, I've been to many open mics. I've never seen a joke land as flat as that. So Brian Kelly's personality is a little interesting, right? The one thing about Ed Orgeron that, we all really appreciated was that he was a very authentic coach, right? Now, he wasn't the best. Obviously, he didn't do things right at the end, especially after he was fired. Coach O was just too honest almost. So we'll see. But obviously, the discussion here, we are focusing on Daronte, right? Because I do think Daronte has a huge fan base on this channel, right? Right when he was hired, no experience whatsoever. And I was a big Daronte guy. And look, it looked rough early on. It looked really rough. But I just like Daronte's demeanor, right? This is a world traveler, a very philosophical guy. And I just thought he was going to come into the defensive side of the ball with a fresh perspective. And to see what we did versus UCLA, I was like, what? I was like, this doesn't make sense. Daronte Jones, who probably watches a lot of film, comes to the program and decides to run the same defense we ran last year. What kind of world is this? I needed one of those Men in Black things. I wasn't smooth with it. I needed one of those Men in Black flashlights to erase my memory from that UCLA game, because we probably win that game if we are running our defense that we're running now. So it looks as if Daronte is, I'm not able to see the poll results here, but a lot of you say Daronte Jones, but right now Marcus Freeman is winning the poll. Not only is he winning the poll, he's winning the poll 2-1. So let me know in the chat how many of you, okay, I just want to see, because I judge each and every one of you. Kidding. I love each and every one of you. I really do. Even Chewy, who I've gone back and forth with, we're cool, I think. Type, even if you've already commented, type D for Daronte, type M for Marcus. Who would you prefer? Type D for Daronte, type N for Marcus. Now, Zay, I hope you are right about this. Will Campbell is begging LSU to keep Brad Davis. So we'll see. Balin the plug. I like it. Welcome to the channel, Balin. Lots of Marcus Freeman lovers in here. I am. Okay. Let me give my thoughts on it. Tony, Antoine, Shan, double rainbow Shan. I love it. So this is my stance on it, right? I've always been a person that not only judges if you are better than someone, but are you in a better situation for that role, right? So the key here is, I think it's beyond reasonable doubt, because Daronte has such a small sample size of games. Now, this sample has been really good. You can argue November has been the best defensive month we've ever had. I'm dead serious. You could make a strong argument. A very strong one. But Marcus Freeman has multiple years of dominance, multiple years of experience. Okay? As many of you know, I pounded the table for Marcus Freeman for the defensive coordinatorship harder than I pounded the table for Lincoln Riley. I really wanted Marcus Freeman to be our next defensive coordinator. Obviously, he's a real deal. And I even took it one step further last night, guys. Some Notre Dame players have a podcast on Colin Cowherd's network, and 3 of them are defensive players. So I listened to it, and they are begging for Marcus Freeman. Well, one of the players is begging for Marcus Freeman to be their next guy. Okay. A lot of the alums are begging for Marcus Freeman to be the next guy. And by the way, Marcus Freeman leaving Cincinnati, let it be known that he always wants to be a head coach. Now, I think most of us would agree that Daronte also wants to be a head coach. But I'll ask you this question. Marcus Freeman is undoubtedly the better defensive coordinator of the two because we have a larger sample. Okay, Daronte might have a higher ceiling. We'll see. But even though Marcus Freeman is better, even though Marcus Freeman was our candidate number 1, that doesn't necessarily mean he is better for this role. Okay? It is very important to keep in mind that at the end of Marcus Freeman's courtship, right, when LSU was going after him, at the very last second, Marcus Freeman chose Notre Dame. And it wasn't necessarily because of Ed Orgeron. It was because of other factors. A lot of people say it was Marcus Freeman's wife who wanted to stay in the Midwest. She's Catholic. She wanted to stay there, right? So if that's the case, if Baton Rouge turned her off so much, or turned Marcus Freeman off, because ultimately it is his decision, then of course you do have to ask the question, does Marcus Freeman even want to be in Baton Rouge, right? I'll tell you this. You know someone who really wants to be here is Daronte Jones. Ed Orgeron gave Daronte Jones a defensive coordinatorship at one of the best programs of all time with no coordinator experience. Don't you think Daronte is forever grateful to Baton Rouge? Don't you think the players in that locker room want Daronte to be the guy? Don't you think Daronte has recruiting ties to a lot of the people that we're going after right now? So I think the answer here is clear. I think Marcus Freeman is better than Daronte Jones because I would be hypocritical in saying that Daronte is better because I patted the table so hard for Marcus Freeman to get the job last year. And outside of a rough start, Notre Dame this year, 5.14 yards per play, which is good. Not excellent, but still good. Really good, actually. Top 50. But I've fallen in love with Daronte, people. A few things I would like to change, though. And I want to include this one little asterisk, okay? Very key asterisk here, okay? Reed, I know you weren't a big Marcus Freeman fan coming in. So I got to say this. I don't think Marcus Freeman would be a good move here because I don't want a DC who wants to be a head coach, who's ready to be a head coach right now. Because if he came to LSU, I don't think he would view it a lateral move. But I'll also tell you this. Marcus Freeman is also not the fondest of LSU for one extra reason. And I want to know, I know a lot of you like these stupid little trivia questions we do. It's not stupid. It's kind of fun. Tell me this, okay? Tell me this. Why doesn't Marcus Freeman like LSU? There's a special reason why Marcus Freeman will always, in his heart, despise LSU. I'm interested. Let me check on the poll results. I want to see who gets this first. Someone's trying to troll the chat with some Eric Gilbert talk. We are not going to have that. There you go. It's Big Al. We beat him in the national championship game. Marcus Freeman was Ohio State's best linebacker in the 2007 national championship game. There you go. RSX Gaming also got this. I like this, man. You got the Superman fit going on. I don't know if this is your first time commenting, but this photo is so unique, man. Not only do you have the Superman shirt, you also got the Superman socks and the slides. I love it, man. There you go, Chase. All right. No, it's not a sore loser thing. He doesn't. He's looking at things professionally. This was kind of just a joking comment, right? But he was a baller. He could really play. All right. So let's take it one step further. Which New Orleans Saints legend was Marcus Freeman's teammate on that Ohio State defense? I think you guys would know the answer to this, right? I think Freeman would bring Jalen Sneed and Keeley. That is true. You know, Marcus could bring some of the best players that they have, right? I don't know too much about those two young men. I don't even know if they're recruits or players. The only Notre Dame defensive player I know a lot about is Kyle Hamilton, who actually came out as a huge LSU fan. He tweeted those photos yesterday. He was the one that hosts that podcast. It actually is really good. So there you go. We got Malcolm Jenkins. I love it. Look at this. Ricky Jackson, Creek. I wish Ricky Jackson was still that young because he would still be on our defense. Could you imagine Ricky Jackson, Demario Davis, and Quan Alexander with Pete Werner coming off the bench? It's kind of crazy, though, like how many Ohio State, New Orleans Saints players. Von Bell. And that wide receiver. Well, what's that wide receiver's name? I don't know. He hadn't played this year for whatever reason. I don't even remember the wide receiver's name. Don't even want to bring him up. Speak of the devil, our next super chatter's name is Michael. What place does LSU finish in the recruiting this year? I hope we could sway Perkins to come now. Keep it up, bro. I love this. I'm really happy you brought up recruiting, right? So yeah, let me pull up the LSU recruiting class right now. I was looking at their class earlier, and LSU is 15th nationally right now after the Trevante Citizen decommitment. Also did not help yesterday that Evan Stewart, a wide receiver, you guys know Texas A&M lacks skill position talent. Evan Stewart decided to go. I put 2021 like an idiot. Let's go 2022. So Evan Stewart decided to go to Texas A&M. I know a lot of you were big Evan Stewart fans. A lot of you are huge Evan Stewart fans. He could play. So there you go. LSU right now currently ranked 15th. Walker Howard, Will Campbell, 13 commitments. Here's what I would do right now if I were Chip Kelly. Okay, I said Chip Kelly. Brian Kelly. Okay. King Robert. Good to see you, man. If I were Brian Kelly, the first thing I would do, obviously, is take a look to see the transfer portal, right? Also see if there are any players that would be interested in coming over to play defense for LSU. Obviously, the next thing, what is Mike Jones going to do? He's got an offseason decision to make. Does he want to come back? I think Baskerville's gone. I think he's going to get drafted. Damon Clark is definitely gone. He'll be a second or third round pick. King Robert's in here now. We got a party now. You guys know it's a party when King Robert's in here. As many of you know, I would not be able to do this full time if it wasn't for people like Robert, people like Antoine, a lot of you that have been very generous with your funds. I really do appreciate you guys. But honestly, each and every one of you do play a very special role in making this a dream for me. Now, what's really interesting is obviously there's a huge domino. One recruit could get us back into the top 10, and his name is Jacoby Mathews. A 5-star would be very nice. What does LSU do about Kendrick Law? What does LSU do about Quincy Wiggins? I don't know if Quincy Wiggins is going to come now. I know a lot of you think, some of you think Quincy Wiggins is the best player in Louisiana this year, which I obviously strongly disagree with, but I've heard that in the chat. So we'll see. Jersey Dolphins, appreciate you, man. I got a Joker laugh. Huh? You saw, did you see Harold Perkins or Kendrick Perkins? That's huge. If it was Kendrick Perkins, because Kendrick Perkins and Swagoo host a podcast now. I got to check that out. You guys know I'm a big Swagoo guy. There's an interview I did with Swagoo at SEC Media Days. It's like 40 minutes long. It was one of the best interviews I've ever had. It was sponsored by Johnsonville Sausage, and it was great. He brought me a bunch of sausages. I know it sounds weird, but he did. It was excellent. It was great. I remember I did the interview, and the Johnsonville spokesman was there with them, and he sat there, and we talked about like very serious stuff and just his football career. It was so great. I got to go back and listen to it. Swagoo would be a really fun PHL guest. He went on every show today too. Like I saw him on like 5 different shows. It would be weird to go to like Dan Patrick's show, Pat McAfee show, ESPN Live, and then Power Hour LSU. But I would say this, there's going to be more diehard LSU football fans right here, Swagoo. So Swagoo, if you're watching, let me know. We need to get you in this. Reggie! So I agree with what Reggie's saying here. It's a very important it's a very important thing. DRC, I want to put your comment on the screen, but I can't put the A word. You guys won't believe this. So yesterday, and as many of you know, I'm grateful for YouTube giving me this platform. My video yesterday got demonetized, and I never cursed in the video. Not once. I don't know if it was because I shared like an ESPN graphic or something. So yeah, let me see. I'll get you a shirt right here. We are currently working on new merch and a new Power Hour LSU logo. Swagoo, oh man, I would cry if Swagoo was like our first guest. That would be cool. He's really busy though, Aaron. I don't want to hold him back. It's kind of weird. You know what's weird? I really do like the NFL Live that they're doing now with Laura Rutledge, Mina Kimes, RC, Ryan Clark, one of our own, and Dan Orlovsky. I think that's probably the best NFL Live they've ever had. It's really good. So, Sip G, I'm glad you brought this up. Okay, so Spencer Rattler is in the portal, but did you know Spencer Rattler is not the best quarterback in the portal? All right, so I want to do this now, and I'm not going to lie to you, Chase, okay? We did have a surge of Booger band buys last night, and Chase, I'm going to offer it to you because you did ask. Since you specifically asked about it, I only have 3 left. Okay, Chase? I was going to hold on to it and give them away. I'm just going to order some more anyway. So, Chase, if you want these final 3, shoot me a Venmo for $20. I got you in a Joe Burrow card. Okay? I just mailed out a bunch today. Okay, so this was the interview I was talking about. All right. The In the Garage. Right here from Danielle. Okay. So it was really good. I listened to the interview last night. It's only 15 minutes. It was really, really good. And it's just 4 Notre Dame players that just hang out and talk. I'll say this, okay? I don't think that they have a lot to gain to trash Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly this morning especially gave the players a 2-minute speech and he was out, okay? Like Lincoln Riley gave a 7-minute speech and he's out. So a lot of people are freaking out that they're saying, well, the coach only hung out with the players for a few minutes and they bolted. Well, yeah, the coach bolted on them anyway without consulting anybody in the program. It's best for all parties that you don't hang around for 30 minutes and get in the way for what they want to do. They want you to get out as much as you want to get out of there. So I'm tired of the media getting on coaches for saying, oh, well, they only spent 2 minutes and they didn't hang out with the players afterwards. So freaking what? Brian Kelly's bags are packed. The LSU jet is waiting for him on the runway. He's wanting to GTFO, right? So I totally agree with you, Danielle. Totally agree. Okay. The players like Brian Kelly, but at the same time, BK is a little terse. He's not the smoothest talker. And I'm going to say this, and it's going to be the antithesis of Ed Orgeron. Okay, Orgeron went off the rails, as many of you know. Didn't coach the team well, off whatever you want to talk about. But at the very least, I do believe a lot of people liked Ed Orgeron, right? To some level. They might not have agreed with a lot of the things he said or did or whatever, but I think a lot of people at the very least liked Ed Orgeron. That is not going to be the case for Brian Kelly. Okay? He is very business oriented. His personality isn't going to mesh well with everybody in Louisiana. It's just how it is. Read a lot on Brian Kelly's backstory, some of the very serious stuff, some of the very good stuff, right? Some coaches said they like being around him. Some coaches said, he could be a little rough around the edges. It is indeed, Chase. So these last 3 booger bands are going to you. Just Venmo me $20 and shoot me a message on Instagram or Twitter or an email, powerhourlsu@gmail.com, and they will be heading your way, man. Lewis, welcome. I would rather Daronte as DC because I think he'd be here more long term. I agree. Thank you, Chase. Congrats, Chase. I think I got a few more sitting around here, but yeah, you are the last booger band getter. I gotta order more tonight. Ev, good to see you. I'll answer that here in a second. There you go. Thank you, Chase. I appreciate that, man. So hit me up at any of those media platforms and send me your info, and we will get these sent out to you, man. Congratulations. BK isn't a very charismatic guy, but I believe 100% that with this hire, it'll raise the floor and our ceiling for the next 9 years. And I think this is a very good comment here from Will. Okay. I agree. I really do. I think it definitely raises our floor, right? Now, as far as ceiling is concerned, obviously our ceiling is that guy. So it's going to take something really special to hit that ceiling. But I agree with you. Our overall program ceiling, where we're recruiting closer to the Georgias, Alabamas, Ohio States. I mean, we already were, but even closer to those guys who are top 3 every year. So, yeah. 6 streams in 4 days. Thanks for the content, Carter. Appreciate you, PLG. So I didn't really want to do a stream every day. I like doing like other videos as well. But just, I mean, this is a head coach search, right? I think a lot of you, since there's, once again, we have a pretty high number here, 195. I really appreciate all the support. Let me know, do you guys prefer live streams or do you guys prefer the deep dives and the film studies? I mean, we'll keep doing film studies. I got a Lyle Collins. He wears the same jersey number. I got an Ed Ingram film study coming out. I know a lot of you aren't going to watch because it's offensive line play, but Ed Ingram was jaw-droppingly good versus Texas A&M. And I don't know what it is. When Ed Ingram is on, he is on. Like, he is all-timer talented good. But when he's off, my God, it's a completely different human being. And I'm telling you, when the NFL watches his tape, they're going to say the same thing. They'll put on South Carolina in 2020 and be like, goodness gracious, is this freaking Willie Roaf? And then they'll put on the Kentucky game from this year and they'll be like, what the heck is this? Like, Ed Ingram is a monster. What was really interesting is kind of like the Jimbo Fisher thing. He's awesome at home, but awful on the road. And I think some teams will pick up on that. But I'm telling you, Ed Ingram was so freaking clutch. I mean, just Herculean for us this past weekend. And he didn't get a lot of credit because Dre deserved all the credit. But I just really appreciate Ed Ingram. He had already had the Senior Bowl invite in the bag, so there's really nothing more for him to gain. His film is his film now. But he went out there and put it all on the line for the Tigers, and I'm happy for him. I really am. I'm happy for this team. And I understand, I'll probably lose viewers talking about this current team because we also want to talk about the next thing. I'm really happy that this roster was the roster that got to this bowl game. I would have been crushed if this would have been the first roster that didn't make a bowl game in God knows how long. And the same time, I'm going to show you a photo in just a second. When Brian Kelly addressed the team, the seniors are on the front row. They're not even going to play for him. And they were all locked in and listening to him. I'm telling you, it is a myth that this team did not have leadership. It is a myth that this team did not play hard. It's a myth, and I will fight back on that myth. Now, I'm not inside the doors. I'm not with them every day of practice, so I could be totally wrong about that. It just didn't show up on the film. It never showed up on the film, right? The Kentucky game, there was a couple of moments where I was like, okay, what are we even? But after that, it just never looked like we weren't trying, if you get what I'm saying, right? We shouldn't have been 6-6. That is no less than an 8-4, 9-3 roster. Okay. We'll do more film studies. Cheryl, let's see. Film studies and the deep dives all day. I know, Noel, but you're also here for the live streams. Noel, one of our top PHLer. I'm telling you, when Ed Ingram is in his groove, watch out. Everyone show some love to Jared. Just round of applause for Jared. Every live stream, just showing us love. I'm telling you, Jared's like Robert. Jared's like Antoine. Just bring it. Ulysses, who's not in here tonight, you guys carry me, man. Who will be the OC? It obviously won't be Pete, or it better not be. You know what's interesting? I think Jake Peets is going to get some looks. He wasn't great, but at the same time, I did not like I as a first-year coordinator, Chief, I don't know if you're being ironic here. You'll never catch me watching a live stream. I like it. I don't know if you're being funny or not, but that is kind of ironic. Who will be the offensive coordinator? It obviously won't be Pete's, or it better not be. Johnny Five was good. Oh, yeah, Johnny Five. Okay. I do want to share this as well. Okay. Johnny Five and Robert were the first members of the Booger Band Club. And it's wild. These are the last 3 Booger bands that we have. I got to order some more. That shows you how long Johnny's been with us, man. Roger, welcome. So let's talk about the offensive coordinator for a little bit. So Brian Kelly wants to bring in, I love it, Chief. Look at this. John says, get a command of the English language and I may come back one day. Yeah, I only speak Latin, John. That's my first language. My second language is Spanish. So this is my third language, John. Still learning English. Might come back one day. It's amazing. I get a comment like that. It's always a first-time commenter. It's always this, I'm going to give you just a crappy comment. I'm going to insult your intelligence. Do I speak bad English? I'm curious. Can I not talk? I understand, like, I don't have like a golden voice. Not everybody can like sound like, Casey Kasem through the microphone, but I try my best. This is how I actually talk. So I actually share a different voice to make myself more of a master of the English language. So I'll say this. It obviously won't be Pete's, or it better not be. So this is what's really funny is I actually like Jake Peetz as a play caller. I know that seems controversial. He's really good at doing something called giving you secondary looks, right? That wasn't like a really cool, like tidy football term. But I've got to say this, okay? Jake Peetz was really good in the first half versus Texas A&M, and he was really good in the first half versus Mississippi State. The Arkansas game was a disaster. I do agree. Someone said the Arkansas game was a disaster. I'm not going to lie. I know it was his first game, and I'm very defensive of play callers in their first game. The UCLA game was atrocious in some spots. Now, Max missed a ton of throws in that game, but I'll never get over the screen to Cole Taylor. I'll never get over that. I've lost sleep over it. It was that bad of a call. Then the 2-point call versus Ole Miss. What are you doing? That doesn't make any sense. So some of Jake Peetz's struggles were, a second-year starter at quarterback with limited ceiling, right? But I'll say this. The guy that Notre Dame is thinking about bringing in is a guy by the name of Tommy Rees, and we'll talk more about him in a second. Let's see. Playoffs next season. BK is for executions. Donovan, welcome to the channel, man. Look at you playing guitar. I believe this looks like a wedding ceremony. Very interesting guitar. BK is for executions. Oh, man. So for those that don't know, this is not Donovan saying that BK is actually for the death penalty. So the joke at the beginning of the year was Brian Kelly said after the Florida State game, Trey, thank you for the super chat. Part of me wants to see another year Daronte, but Unchained. Was it today? Great. Let's go. I would love to see Daronte have the opportunity just to be himself. So this is the big thing, okay? And we'll get back into the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator thing. So the joke was, for those that don't want to get too confused about the executed comment, right? So Brian Kelly said after the Florida State game that his players deserve to be executed, okay? Because their execution wasn't good. It's a joke that a former coach told from yesteryear, okay? And it fell flat. I mean, no one understood what he was talking about. I didn't either. I was watching the post-game interview, right? Because that Florida State game versus Notre Dame was one of the most watched games of the year because they played it on a Monday. Like they play like the college football opening on a Monday night, right? And when I heard that, I was like, that is the worst thing I think I've ever heard, especially knowing Brian Kelly's history with the scissor lift incident. I was like, hold on just a second. There's no way he just said that. I was like, no. And then I started doing some research on it. And then there were some people on Twitter saying, don't get over the top. He was trying to make a joke. It's an old saying and da. I was like, really, Brian Kelly? Execute? Yeah, the interviewer was like, I have to go back and watch it. It was so strange. It was so strange. Reggie is going to go out on an island here. Reggie lives in Baton Rouge as well. I think Jake Peetz should get another shot. I'm ready to see how Brad Davis coaches in the bowl game. Very interesting. And ready to see what Pete's play calls, knowing he's on his way out. So I know Will Campbell wants Brad Davis to come back, but I'm going to give you something. I'm going to give you something that's going to be really far-fetched here. I could see Brad Davis getting a head coaching job now, right? I could see it happening. Not at LSU, obviously, but somewhere else. Remember, college football is a copycat sport. You always hear that term. The NFL is a copycat league. The NBA is a copycat league, okay? So a lot of programs and sports institutions always like to get ahead of a trend, right? So Ed Orgeron won the national championship. He was a lineman coach. Obviously, things fell off the rails, but he was good before these last couple of years. The guy with the most epic turnaround this year in the SEC was Sam Pittman, right? Sam Pittman, an offensive line coach. His protege is Brad Davis. Brad Davis gets this interim coaching role in his first year over more experienced coaches on the staff. Okay. I could see Brad Davis being a head coach next year. I could see it. College institutions want to get ahead of a trend. Okay. And you guys know this, right? A big reason why the Sam Pittman hire was sold to a lot of people in Arkansas was the same reason. They gave the same reasons that they gave for Ed Orgeron, right? The CEO role. Arkansas fans immediately made that comparison before Pittman ever made coached a game. We're trying to get the next Ed Orgeron, and Pittman's been amazing. So I could see Brad Davis getting a job next year as a head coach. It would be a group of 5 job, obviously. It wouldn't be a power 5 job. And it might, I don't think he would leave D1 for a head coaching job, but I think more than likely Brad Davis is going to be back next year. Okay. Have missed most of this in the last live stream because I've been hyped plus work. Love this hire. It's a home run hire, in my opinion. What are your thoughts? I like Daronte. So, Max, we'll go a little bit deeper on Brian Kelly. LJ, I actually just sold my last 3 bands, right? But I'll order some more, and obviously, we'll get them back out. Chase actually bought the final 3 bands. I'll ask Haley. I'm pretty sure these are the final 3 that we have. You guys know Haley keeps me organized. I'm so disorganized. I have to show you guys this, though. A listener of my football card podcast did something really nice to me. He's actually a Nebraska fan. So if you guys want to know pain, shout out to my guy Brandon. Show me love, man. He sent me this Jacoby Mathews card. Let me make sure I get it out of the glare here. Look at this. Really cool stuff, man. Not an overly expensive card, but he just sent it to me. Didn't even charge me for it. And as you guys know, the one player I collect is Jacoby Mathews. I collect other LSU players, but Jacoby Mathews is my number 1 collection. I forgot to show this when Jay Hill was in here yesterday. Got a Jay Hill card right here. Okay, so Big Al sees a market inefficiency here. This is what the treasurer of PHL does behind my back. Big Al got 3 booger bands, and he's looking to sell 2 for $50 tonight. Good old-fashioned supply and demand. Chase, think about it. You got the last 3 booger bands in existence. These are the only 3. I gave Haley's nieces some. I gave my brother one. I'm going to have to go track them down and say, look, guys, I love you, but this is free market capitalism, baby. Give me back your bands. LJ needs them. LJ, you actually have bought a few bands from us. I appreciate you. Blessed in Turkey. What's up, man? How are things overseas? We're always in the news, and finally it's for something positive. But here's the thing, Max. I cannot say this enough, okay? Yes, we wish we were Alabama, right? But I go back to T-Bob's epic rant. What fun is it to be an Alabama fan when you win all the time, right? There's no fun in that. I like drama, right? Now, I didn't like the way that this team was coached this year. I felt like we just wasted a really good roster or a solid roster. But still, I got to say this, okay? I'm so glad I'm not a Bama fan. On the other hand, if this is the worst thing that can happen to our program, we're lucky. Okay? Now, in your lifetime, a lot of you were rational human beings during the 2019 championship team. You were able to experience it. It's never going to get better than that. Brian Kelly can try as hard as he can. It just will never be better than that. Okay? You could be a Nebraska fan. You could be a Texas fan. I'm telling you, there is nothing worse in life. Okay, a lot of people think the worst thing in sports is for your team to be bad. It's not true. It's not true. The worst thing you can be in sports is thinking you're elite, but you actually aren't, right? Nebraska fans think they should win 10 games every now and then, which is fine expectations, but that's not happening anytime soon. Texas fans think they should be us in Alabama and Georgia and Oklahoma, but they're not. You're just average. That's the worst thing. At least at LSU, number one, we've experienced the highest of highs for probably 90% of you. 3 times in your lifetime, you've gotten to experience that. All right, so this is a very emotional moment for me. Leonard, got to show you some love, man. So, as many of you know, Leonard has not been able to be a part of our chat because he has been putting electricity back into the power lines of South Louisiana, right? So, it's people like Leonard that allow people like me, even though I don't live in South Louisiana, most of my family does. Leonard, I thank you for your service. And I know you get paid to do your job, and you've been doing it for a while now. But the PHL Nation is better for Leonard. Leonard, thank you so much. Thank you for sending me a bunch of photos, Leonard, of you at work as well. I don't know if that's a violation for me to be publicly saying that. I hope that didn't get you in trouble. But there were just photos of you, right? And where you were. Max is 22, and I've seen LSU win 3 natties. Chris, good to see you. Everyone, welcome back to Leonard, man. The king of the salmon PHL club. Leonard is one of the few human beings. T-Mill, what's good? So Leonard is one of the few human beings. And Leonard, I believe, is part of the Booger Band Club as well. It's also part of I think you're part of the T-shirt club. Leonard is one of the few human beings who appreciates a good piece of salmon better than me. I know that sounds weird, but some of you, the smart ones in here, knows that salmon, when done perfectly, is better than steak. It is. It is. I'm about to lose a ton of viewers. That's fine. Bold opinions only on this channel. Okay? No, you can. Kudos to Scott. Listen to 2 shows live, and now I'm hooked on here every day while I'm getting other things done. Cool stuff, man. So, programming note, we will not be live tomorrow, but we will be dropping a Brian Kelly deep dive tomorrow at 6. Hopefully the press conference happens. I do want to hear Brian Kelly at the press conference, and I do want to see the coordinator hire, so that might push it back again tomorrow. But I guarantee you there are some stats that do concern me about Brian Kelly. Now, what's interesting is, I'll tell you this. This to me is Brian Kelly's biggest strength. Okay? Null says, well, I've heard enough. Okay. This is key. Salmon is definitely better than steak when cooked correctly. Exactly. Thank you, Carvis. And it's better for you, too. And I'm not a health nut. Haley is. She's a pescatarian. And that's all there is to it. Yeah, Robert, that guy was pretty mean. Get a command of the English language. Ooh, Chris. This is actually a good question, right? Will Brian Kelly say "Go Tigers" at the end of every interview? Actually, this is very interesting. Chris, thank you for the support. As always, shout out to the dads of PHL. You guys are what makes all this happen. Shout out to my dad. Shout out to all the dads at PHL. Shout out to Haley's dad. Cat Daddy. Love me some Cat Daddy. Thoughts on a couple of the BK scandals, like the 2010 incident where that kid died of filming at practice. Okay, so we'll touch on the serious thing and then we'll get into the Go Tigers thing. As many of you know, I touch on serious things on this channel. All right, sometimes I do. I don't go too deep into it. Not necessarily my forte. Mostly talk about football here. Now, here's what I'll say. What Brian Kelly did was not great. So for those that don't know, the young man died when the scissor lift fell over because it was really windy outside. There's 50-mile-per-hour winds, and they decided to have practice anyway. Okay? So whether or not Brian Kelly likes it, the blood is on his hands because he elected to still have practice outside, which, by the way, is really dangerous when you're 50 feet in the air. That's going to follow him forever he goes. Okay? Also, there are some other things involving Title IX issues, sexual assault, other stuff surrounding Brian Kelly. Now, in his defense, a lot of that stuff is from his earlier days at Notre Dame. Still doesn't take away the serious nature of it, right? It's part of it. It's part of any coach that has a history such as that one. Not every coach is like Dave Aranda, Nick Saban, where there's not really serious things that comes along with their name. Okay? Brian Kelly's owned up to it from what I've gathered. But also, Brian Kelly, and this is just part of him as a coach, sometimes he's a little detached from reality, if you get what I'm saying, right? So that's all there is to it. I mean, I don't know what else I can really add to that other than understand that college football is not a business or a beacon of morality either, right? So if some LSU fans are frustrated about that aspect of Brian Kelly, especially considering LSU's had off the field stuff in the past, they're well within their right. I've always said on this channel, you're free to fairly criticize or talk about whatever you want to talk about LSU football related. And Scott Woodward knew that when they hired him. So we'll see. LJ, thank you for the Venmo. I appreciate you, man. BK O-lines are hold my pockets dirty. Rod, thank you, man. I appreciate you so much, man. Thank you. Wow, I did not expect this. Rod, I've seen you in a few chats now. Rod, God, man, that makes me so happy. You and Robert, okay. So I'm going to create something called the Hundo Club. So in the Hundo Club, based on just our past week, y'all show Rod some love down below. Okay? Show Rod some love, man. So, guys, I understand, it really does mean a lot. As many of you know, I don't take what I do lightly. All right? If you watch any of our videos, we go really deep. Okay? I do whatever I can to promote this channel. Went on a really fun radio show in North Louisiana today with my guy, Sean Fox. These donations really do help out because this is what I do full time. Literally, I get up, open my laptop, and study. It can be hard sometimes, but I'm very lucky I have a job like this. So I appreciate it, Rod. I really do. It goes a long way. Okay? Now go get a haircut. Huh? I got a good one today, man, from a student barber, my guy Mike. I appreciate it. So Rod, Robert, Jason, who's not in here right now, Jared, and the Master Blaster have all given $100 donations. So once again, Rod, Robert, Jason, Jared, and the Master Blaster. Guys, thank you so much for making PHL what it is. I appreciate you, man. Do you, Chad? I love Monroe. I really do freaking love Monroe. I know it's not popular. I know it's funny to call North Louisiana Yankees. But look, let me see. That comment earlier about your English made zero sense. You are most certainly a super talented communicator and entertainer backed by your diligent research and energy for the topics you cover. All right, that really means a lot. I'm really glad Haley didn't see that comment because she would have stalked and ended that human being's existence. You are providing a very valuable service for people who really care about LSU. Thank you so much for your dedicated work. No, thank you, Rod. I appreciate it, man. It is cool, man. It's cool that, Jim, I'm so happy you finally commented. So I've got to say this. All right, Jim, I can't show the letter because it has your address on it. So I actually do have to include Jim in the Hundo Club as well. Jim sent me a very generous donation through the mail. I really appreciate you, Jim. And guess what? Jim actually got one of the last booger bands. So, Rod, I would send you some booger bands for that very generous donation. I do got to get some more. And when I do, Rod, feel free to reach out. This channel's not going anywhere, and I'll get you some booger bands for you, Rod. I appreciate you, man. So, Jim, guys, you got to know this. Jim sent me a very nice letter earlier today. And Jim, your booger bands are in the mail as well. And not only your booger bands, but Tre'Davious White. Oh, my God. Dude, I sent you one of my favorite Trey White cards. And I also sent you an NFL Legends cards as well. And, of course, LJ has definitely been one of our top donators as well. And, oh, my goodness. Okay. So this is one of my comedy buddies right here. Blake has joined the Hundo Club. Thank you so much, Blake. I appreciate it. So, Blake can attest for some of our best comedy gigs we've ever done. We did a show in Natchez, Mississippi. I've talked about this show on this live stream before, and that was one of my favorite sets of all time, Blake, because we're doing a set in Mississippi. And Blake didn't know this about Natchez, Mississippi, that Natchez, Mississippi is mostly LSU and Saint fans, right? There's a sports book there. 104.5 does some shows from there, I think. I don't know if they still do. I know they did at the time. Jimmy Ott did. And you guys, I got to do a show there during the LSU National Championship run. And Blake can attest to this. Blake, hand on the Bible, can attest to this. And Blake does look like a youth pastor, but he's not. That's one of his best jokes too. That's one of his best jokes. Anyway, Blake can attest to this. We started a Joe Burrow chant in the middle of my set. The place went nuts. I think I posted it online somewhere. And then I started a F Bama chant. It was the coolest thing. That was one of the most magical moments of my stand-up career, was starting an F or a Joe Burrow. We started a Joe Burrow for Heisman chat, and it was so much cool. Is this a telethon of self-promotion? It's amazing. When I don't chat LSU football for like 2 minutes, people just get mad. They get so mad. We do these long live streams, and it's like self-promotion, and all I'm doing is sharing some graciousness to the people that fund the channel. So yeah, it was an amazing set. It was just an amazing night, man. And you murdered after that as well. God, it was so much fun. And then they took us to the we'll go back into some LSU stuff because Mike is like, is this a telethon of self-promotion? So yes, Blake, you murdered two after that. God, that night was crazy. And I do, Chad. I still do. There are 50,000 comedians 10 times better than I'll ever be. If you guys want to see someone who's really underrated at stand-up, go look up Mia Jackson. It's one of my favorite comedians on the planet right now. We was just talking about retaining or letting go Jones, depending on who was brought in. I said he wasn't that bad, but since we got Kelly, I changed my mind. We need to go get Marcus Freeman. Yeah, there we go. Appreciate you, Blake. So, Scott, I actually do get this question a lot. So, Scott is also a supporter of PHL. I'll say this. The loser in our fantasy league has to do a 30-minute comedy set somewhere. Okay. First thing is 30 minutes is an extremely long time. Don't put an audience through it. Also, you'll never be able to find somewhere to do a 30-minute set. So whenever you go do an open mic comedy night, you're only given 5 minutes. Sometimes you're only given 3 minutes, and that is more than enough. You don't want someone who's never done stand-up before to go do a 30-minute set. You don't want someone who's never done stand-up before to do a 10-minute set or even a 7-minute set. So 30 minutes, it would be the worst. Like you should get thrown into a volcano if that happens. A 5-minute set is what I would recommend. 30 minutes, that's just torture. Okay. I barely have 30 minutes of material. Actually, I don't have 30 minutes of material anymore. So, yes, you should find somewhere to do a 5-minute comedy set. That is more than enough. Okay. Theo's up there. Let's see. My wife and I still quote one of Carter's bits. Gertrude, is this be? Sure. Yeah, Pryor's definitely top 5. All right. I'm not going to skip the other super chats. Evan Steele for defensive coordinator. I love Kevin Steele. King Robert also donated $100. Thank you so much, King Robert. I appreciate it. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Really cool night. You don't get nights like this all that often. We've had some really fun super chat nights. So, Kevin Steele for defensive coordinator. I'm not opposed. Kevin Steele is one of the best defensive coordinators of the past few years. A really fun Kevin Steele fact. And I'm sorry if I missed any of the super chats, but I haven't talked to Blake in a while, and it's really cool. When you're on the road with someone, it means a lot when they come in and drop a hundo. And Rod, thank you so much. Rod and Blake, I'll get some booger bands out to you when we get some more. So Kevin Steele for defensive coordinator, I'm perfectly fine with it. A quick Kevin Steele fact. Kevin Steele put forth one of the best defensive games of all time while at Auburn. Okay. Against 2019 Kevin Steele, against 2019 LSU, Auburn played the most plays ever on defense versus an LSU offense. They played 88 plays defensively, by far the most, while at the same time holding LSU to their least yards per play. So, in other words, Kevin Steele was the only defensive coordinator in 2019 LSU to hold LSU to under 6 yards per play, which is a miracle, right? That's the greatest offense of all time. He held him to 5.8 yards per play while playing 88 plays defensively, while at the same time not getting any help from the offense. So Kevin Steele is not a good defensive coordinator. He's an elite defensive coordinator with LSU ties. Now, how hungry does Kevin Steele want to get back into the game? I don't know. I'd be totally on board with Kevin Steele because what he did versus 2019 LSU is not talked about enough because he didn't win the game. But still, he was phenomenal. Will says, come on, Carter, North Louisiana, it's like playing pro basketball, but it's I like North Louisiana, man. I also like the WNBA, man. I'll tell you this. Apparently there was a really big interview with Candace Parker today that I need to go watch. She was sour about being left off of Team USA. And I could totally get it because, there's some LSU players that are better than her. I'm kidding. But for real, Simone Augustus, better. Sylvia Fowles, better. Come at me, Tennessee fans. BK's offensive lines are hold my pockets dirty. Let's go. I love it. Thoughts on a couple. Okay, we got that one. Let's go back to this one. Will Brian Kelly say "Go Tigers" at the end of every interview? I hope so. Steele was here for one season before Dave Aranda. True. That is true. So we got a bunch of people in here talking about Cat Williams. I'll say this. The hardest I've ever laughed at a special. By the way, Blake drops a hundo, so I'll talk a little comedy. I promise we'll get back into LSU football. The hardest I've ever laughed at a special is Cat Williams' Penn Chronicles. That's the hardest I've ever laughed at a special. There's some Bill Burr specials where I am laughing really hard from start to finish. Michelle Wolf's last special was really good. But, yeah, Cat Williams is, I mean, at his peak, when Cat is all in, right? Hennessy. Oh, man. that is just stand-up comedy brilliance. Drinking with white folks, drinking with black folks. It's the funniest bit. Oh my God, Cat at his peak. I don't think many people can touch him, man. As far as making you cry, laugh. Okay. Let's see. Do you think we get any flips from Notre Dame to LSU, Carter? I don't know about that. That's a good question. So I went and looked at this earlier, Big Mac. There is one kid committed from Notre Dame from the state of Louisiana, and that's Omarion Walker, who ironically, Big Mac, goes to the same school of the top uncommitted prospect in Louisiana, which is Jacoby Mathews. They're both at Ponchatoula. Now, Branson Cat, are you in here tonight? I'm about to send him a message because he actually knows both of these young men pretty well. So let's see. Steele's defense performs well, but LSU subbed their toes at the goal line 3 times. I think LSU offense puts up big numbers if you look at that number closely. That's true, 12 Joseph 23. But at the same time, a lot of our conversions were Joe Burrow scrambles, right? So Kevin Steele did a smart thing. A lot of our plays we made in that game were just our guys making plays. Like, we weren't getting open. Like, Jamar made some Superman plays and heavy coverage in that game, and Clyde kind of took over, but it helped out that they were starting to get a little tired. But I do agree, LSU, it did help out that was LSU's 8th game in 8 weeks. I also think, and this is just me, super conspiracy, I also think Joe Burrow got really hurt in that game, and just we'll never know, because he took one of the hardest hits I've ever seen a human being take. I don't know if you guys remember this. It was a 3rd and 12, and we were backed up on our own 1-yard line, and we ran for a first down. Well, Joe did, and it was all Joe. It was heart, tenacity, everything. And I really do think he got knocked out. There's no way he could have gotten hit that hard. And he just popped back up. Like, I just don't think he's a human being. Dude, I'll never forget that hit. There's some times when I see a player get hit and I'm like, how are you walking right now? Liam Shanahan had a hit earlier this year, guys, where I legit thought his spine snapped in 2. I really thought that's what happened. That was the worst pile I've ever seen. Liam Shanahan. It was against Alabama. Jason Hines' guy over-penetrated, and Hines pushed him into the back of Liam Shanahan, and then his guy folded him on top. Sometimes I see a hit, and I'm like, how are they walking? It's crazy. It's crazy. Good question here from Jesse. Who's my favorite recruit this year? Okay. Okay, so here's Branson. We do have to go to this because this is some actual really good intel. Omarion Walker is not LSU material, but he's a great kid. Very interesting. Okay. These guys are built different. Well, some guys are built different. Huh? Huh? Uh, Brian Kelly looks like he offers recruit savings bonds. I have to say this. There are a lot of funny Brian Kelly jokes that are coming out about how, like, he just, I've just got to say it. It's not a culture fit. And I do think that's overrated, right? I know a lot of people are making Brian Kelly has never had spicy food in his life jokes. Brian Kelly. uh, Brian Kelly's going to think Kane's chicken is spicy. Dragonfly Jones had a joke on Twitter. Brian Kelly thinks Sprite is spicy. Look, it's not the easiest culture fit in the world. It's not one actually at all. But if you win, nobody cares. If you win, nobody cares. Exactly. It looks like his Sprite is too spicy. Dragonfly Jones, funniest guy on Twitter. Oh man. Jesse, I think you've asked me this a few times here. Who is your favorite recruit this year? So Walker Howard's always going to be my answer to that, right? I like Terrence Welch a lot. I really do. He might be my favorite. I like Jake a lot as well. Let me think of a lower rated guy. All right. So if you were to ask me right now, okay. If you were to ask me right now, Carter, you have to bet your life savings that this recruit is going to be the best recruit in this class. My answer would actually be Emory Jones, right? I think Emory Jones is really good. I do. He just seems like a different athlete, right? Man, I am a huge Emory Jones guy. Huge. So right now, I would probably say he's my number one player in this class. I think he can help us out now. I think him and Will Campbell are really good. And once again, part of it is just me hoping because we really do need those guys to be really good football players. We saw maybe, I understand he's a true freshman. We saw a little bit of limitation from Garrett Dellinger athletically. At that offensive tackle spot, this was the first game where he went up against grown adults for a full 60 snap game, and it wasn't pretty, right? And he's a really good football player, and he's going to be a starting offensive tackle in the SEC or guard or whatever. But yeah, it's tough. Obviously, Campbell has a really high ceiling, but Emory Jones, man, he's so next level. He looks like Trey Turner. He looks like a guy who can move bodies. So, we'll see. Let's see. Crayfish. I love it, man. Let's see. That one's so good. But here's the thing. I would love to sit with Brian Kelly and watch Pim Chronicles as well. I couldn't imagine that. Ooh. Okay. Now this, if you want to talk spicy, this is a spicy comment right here from Technologic. This is a spicy. John Emery. I would love to see it. I think if you're John Emery, you do have to come back now. Like, or do you go to the NFL? You have a short shelf life, and there's no guarantee that you're even going to put tape out there next year. I don't know. The coldest Crawford. I love it. I'm telling you, North Louisiana. There are two areas in particular that defend their recruits. North Louisiana defends all North Louisiana players, and Lafayette defends Lafayette recruits like none other. I remember when my true freshman wide receiver piece came out, and I put out there Malik Neighbors is good, but I had him as the fifth wide receiver out of the five that we got in the cycle. Dude, I got roasted for that. Roasted. And Malik's a really good player, right? Really good player. I don't know. This could be the best freshman wide receiver class we've ever had, right? It's going to be tough to beat Jarvis and Odell, though. And it's going to be tough to beat Jamar, Terrace, and Jure. It's going to be tough. You want to do a Vegas meetup for 2024? We're going to do it. I'm going to Vegas here in a few weeks. Never been on like a Vegas trip. I've been in Vegas before for comedy. Blake knows this guy, D's So Funny, and me and him did a few shows there. That was that. I was only there for like a night and a half, really. So yeah, mark it down. PHL Meetup 2024 Vegas. I know Jared's going to be there. I know Ulysses is going to be there. He's not in here, but he lives in Denver. I don't know, man. I'm serious, though. Like, for those of you who have Northerners who come from the north to the south, some of them don't know what hit them when they eat the food for the first time. If you've never seen a Northerner eat Cajun food for the first time, you're missing out on the best version of entertainment that has ever been set forth on this planet. Okay? Oh, man. Cat Williams for LSU radio play-by-play. Huh? Oh, man. Ahmad, what's good, man? So I'll say this. Ahmad actually just 90% follows recruiting, right? He's an LSU fan, but he knows all about the recruiting. It's pretty interesting, Ahmad. Did you see the Malachi Nelson flip today? Ahmad has said Malachi Nelson is the guy that we need to look out for. And he said he is the best quarterback out of these next two cycles. You know what's funny, Ahmad? So I actually sat down and watched the Malachi Nelson tape today. And I was doing it because obviously, I started researching him because, Lincoln Riley LSU was kind of a thing. So for those that don't know, Malachi Nelson is a 5-star quarterback for the class of 2023. He is the nationally ranked number 2 player, only behind Arch Manning, who's number 1, right? So this is what's very interesting. And Will, you've been super chatting a bunch. I do want to talk about Jack Besh. Ahmad, I watched Malachi Nelson today. And I'm trying to get it, right? He looks amazing. And I've heard different people say Malachi Nelson is the guy that's going to bring USC football back. He's going to be better than Matt Leinart, which I think he will be. I don't think Matt Leinart was all that great. If you have Lindell White and Reggie Bush, you're going to be great. And Pete Carroll in his prime, okay? So, Malachi Nelson. I don't know. I think I would still take Walker Howard over Malachi Nelson. I would still take Caleb Williams over Malachi Nelson. If we were doing a quarterback futures draft, right? I also say this, Arch Manning, I get the hype. He doesn't like blow my socks off either. Then again, I don't really like to look at quarterbacks until their senior year. But just watching this, I was like, really? And I try to keep my bias out of it, but there's 2 kids in the class of 2022 right now that I like better than Malachi Nelson. And of course, I'm going to say my guy, Walker Howard. It could just be my Louisiana bias. But I think the young man going to Clemson, who beat Quinn Ewers last year in the state championship game, can really freaking play. Okay? I don't know why I keep forgetting his name. That kid is for real. I think he's underrated. I do. So this is interesting. Tony, do you follow Notre Dame? Snoop Dogg actually is really good at sports commentary. I watched him on Peacock this weekend after the NFL games. So, Will, let me answer your Jack Besh question. Will, thank you for all your donations. I really do appreciate it, man. And I love our Will, what's funny is I don't know if that's you to the right or to the left. I don't know if Will is the youngin. I think you're the youngin. Yeah, you changed your photo. So this is you and I think your dad. Will, thank you for supporting me. I really do appreciate it, man. Yeah, the Cade Klubnik. Cade Klubnik. Yes. Cade can flat out play. That dude can freaking play. Okay? So why has Jack Besh been targeted so little? Time and time again, he makes big plays, yet he's getting 3 targets a game. Okay. So the first thing here is I think Jack Besh played hurt and sick this past weekend. He didn't look the same coming out of his breaks, but when we really needed him, showed some great football IQ, sat in the zone on that 4th down play. On that 4th down play that we got very lucky, that number 2, their defensive end, fired off the football a little late. And since he fired off the football a little bit late, he wasn't able to get to Max Johnson in time because Garrett Dellinger did get pushed into Max Johnson off that left side, and Max was able to get the football off just in time to Jack Besh. So we got a little lucky on that play. Jack just didn't look the same, from watching him closely over the past couple of weeks. I think that's part of it, Will. Also, this is also important to keep in mind, right? Jack Besh has played a lot, and he's playing a brand new position. He's never blocked before in his life. He got really banged up this last week. He's going up against adults. Every game Jack Besh played in high school, he was the best or the second best, no worse than the second best athlete on the field at all times. So yeah, it was. I do think some of the hits kind of accumulated, and it's tough. It's really tough on your body. So I do think part of it is as well as snap share, right? Oh, that's true, LJ. I forgot Westlake is like the quarterback factory. They don't miss. I don't think a lot of you are Spencer Rattler fans. So this is very interesting. Okay. Blake, even from an Arkansas perspective, Jack Besh is a beast. He's good, man. He's really freaking good. I'll also say this as well. I do think Brian Kelly is going to be in the market for a transfer quarterback. I don't think Brian Kelly wants his first tenure to start off with a true freshman quarterback. It's not really his MO, really. He likes experience at that position. Every coach likes experience at that position. I also don't think a new coach is going to come into a situation and be on fire about Max Johnson. So I know a lot of LSU fans are looking at Spencer Rattler, right? He's the sexiest name, signed a bunch of NIL deals. I think he's very interesting. Obviously, the upside's there. He's on NFL draft boards, but a lot of you don't like his attitude. And I totally agree. His attitude is not the best. Obviously, high upside. I do think a strong-willed coach like Brian Kelly would put him into check. And I'd be interested. I'd be interested in Spencer Rattler, but I do think Spencer Rattler is someone that wants to go to a situation where he knows he's going to play. Okay. Now, here's a young man that I want to throw his name out there just for a second here. Okay. Theo Weiss Jr., Marvin Mims from Oklahoma. Hitman, I'd be interested. Those are some difference makers. There's some really good players. Weiss Jr., I believe he wears number 14, really good player. But I also don't want a crowded receiving room. I also don't want to deter Shaz Preston from coming because I do think he's really good. But, if Kayshawn is for sure coming back, which I think he is, I think he's going to play. I think he has a dog mentality and he's not going to opt out, and I'm not saying Jamar didn't have a dog mentality, but he had nothing else to prove. I do think in a roundabout way, the injury to Kayshawn could end up being a somewhat good thing for LSU because if Kayshawn would have continued, he would have won the Biletnikoff this year. And there would have been no reason for him to play next year because it would have been the Jamar Chase situation all over again. If he would have won the Biletnikoff with the elite speed and size and football IQ he already has, he's a good blocker, good teammate, no off the field stuff really. No, actually just none at all. Kayshawn would have been the number one wide receiver taken next year. It would have been hard for any wide receiver to supersede Kayshawn in this year's draft, even if he was eligible. But I do think he'll come back now for sure and play next year. So Kayshawn, Jack Besh, Brian Thomas Jr. for at least 2 more seasons, Malik for at least 2 more seasons. That's enough right there. And there's no telling what Dre's going to do. I'd be interested in a Dre return. There's no telling what Trey's going to do. I'd be interested in a Trey return as well. Chris Hilton is still in the pipeline. I think he comes back for at least a year to see what he can do. If I was LSU's coaching staff right now, I would be cautious with Chris Hilton. I think he's played 4 games. Don't want to play into the bowl game. That doesn't make any sense. And then you also get Deion Smith back, right? And some of you guys think that Deion Smith is better than all of them. There's some of you that really do think that. And you might be right. Deion, when he was on, he's really good, right? So I wouldn't look at wide receivers in the portal. I am going to give you a name, though, that is very interesting to me. Brian Kelly will not coach in the bowl game, Ryan. I sincerely doubt it. I could see him be on the sideline or in the press box, but I sincerely doubt it. Okay? Their situations are nothing alike. Which ones? So this is a young man I really want. Jamar opted out when hundreds of other athletes all opted out. I mean, yeah, that's true. That was also during the pandemic. So still, even then, I totally agreed with Jamar opting out. I still believe you should be able to go to the NFL after your second year. I know that set you guys on fire. I'm for it. Player mobility, go for it. Now, Jake Hayner, okay? That's who I want in the portal. Underrated quarterback out of Fresno State. Jake freaking Hayner. I think it's the best quarterback in the portal. Not an elite athlete. Not going to wow you with really anything. Maybe he's not big and fast enough to play in the SEC. But Jake Hayner can flat out play. Okay? Now, I know there's some really good running backs in the portal. And let's be honest. I'd be interested in Jahmyr Gibbs and Zach Evans, who, by the way, had some LSU ties before they went where they went. Now, they weren't ties necessarily. Those are closer to Ed Orgeron ties, especially Zach Evans. But Jake Hayner can really play. Quarterback out of Fresno State. I really love me some Jake Hayner. Now, not overly athletic, okay? He's not going to let me put it this way. He's not going to be somebody that you're going to watch his tape and be like, okay, this guy's going to be in the NFL draft. All right. Kid can ball, though. Kid can ball. Okay. I don't care how you look. If you can play, you can play. This young man right here. It's in the portal. Chris Curry transferred last year. Yeah. Bring back Marcel Brooks. I'm a Jake Hayner guy. Okay. So, Jake Hayner is most known for beating UCLA in UCLA with the craziest quarterback performance of the year. I would say Jake Hayner's performance versus UCLA was the best quarterback performance this season. He couldn't walk and then threw for like over 500 yards, and he had to have 3 game-winning drives in like the last 5 minutes. It was the most insane game. A lot of you didn't get to watch it because it's on the Pac-12 network, and the game ended at 1:30 in the morning. So, yeah, I'm interested. Why are you hating on my cut? Carrie, I love that you love the channel. I can really tell you love the channel. Come after me with my haircuts. And here's the thing, okay? It would be one thing if LJ Gaming started roasting me, because LJ Gaming actually has a photo of himself. And by the way, since Greg isn't in here tonight, these are my favorite photos. LJ Gaming with the significant other at an LSU game, repping the LSU Tigers. But Carrie is roasting my haircut, which, by the way, looks good. I mean, this line is Daronte Jones razor sharp right here. Juwan Howard has nothing on my fade right now. Nothing. Jalen Rose, come at me, son. Come at me. But Carrie Smith decides, and I know you're joking, Carrie. I know. But you roast me without actually having a photo of yourself. You roast my $2 student haircut, which, by the way, I not only paid full price, I tipped the student, Mike, who did a pretty daggum good job. In fact, I took one of the tests. They have to take these tests on iPads, and they gave it to me, and I took the test to see how they're actually learning. Ohio State for Ricks. Eli Ricks has already publicly said he's not coming back. So he went on a local show and said he's not coming back. Jordy Collada. Greg, good to see you, man. Eric. So it is interesting. We do have a lot of TV viewers that watch on the big screen. You can't really chat. So that's really cool, man. So he's going to go. So Jake Haener is going to go back to the school that he originally went to. No, Jake Haener, come to the SEC. Now, here's the thing. It's a stretch. Athletically, it's not going to be something that's going to make you go, wow. But the bottom line, Will's bringing the roast, man. Oh, man. I love it. So one of my fellow comedians and YouTubers, Blake, I think I know you. I think you know who I'm talking about. It's a guy named Barry Laminack, right? And he's doing a roast your face thing. That's perfectly fine. Harold Perkins to LSU. I know, Carrie. People like you and Reed and Rain, you guys bring some strong comments my way, but you don't actually have a photo of yourself. Reed is so anti-Riley. Rita, you know what's funny? I kind of hope you're right. I hope Lincoln Riley just bombs at USC. It'd make me look like a total idiot if he just bombs at USC, which could happen. Big Al still trying to flip his booger bands. Hey, G, what's good, man? Good to see you. Let me see. Let me update the poll question. Cliff's not in here tonight. Let's see. I got to wait for this to load up here so I can. Marcus Freeman dominated this poll question tonight, guys. That's kind of wild. I'm a little shocked by that. In this poll. Hey, G. Wait, what did Rain say? Dang, Rain, did they charge extra to shave the unibrow? That's funny. That's good, man. You know what's funny? I used to be a big Anthony Davis fan because he used to rock the unibrow proudly. And now there's no athlete in the world I hate more than Anthony Davis. I really do. The New Orleans thing, I'll never get over him not saying bye. I'll never get over that. I just won't. The "That's all folks" shirt, and then to say after the "That's all folks" shirt thing, and then to say after that, oh, I didn't know. I don't pick out my wardrobe. Own up to it. Okay? Let me ask this question. This is for diehards. Trust me, this question is going to be worth it. So just hang with me just for a second. All right. I'm interested in your thoughts on this poll question, guys. Yeah, I think Mike Jones has to come back, right? I know he was on some draft boards last year. Oh, you got some Notre Dame fans? Hey, G. Tell them to hate, baby. You have the Hornets Anthony Davis jersey? Oh, my goodness. Can I be honest? So when the Hornets switched their jerseys, I love the Baron Davis Hornets jerseys. The Baron Davis Hornet jerseys were better than the Chris Paul Hornet jerseys when they switched it. Me and my buddy Seth Lewis used to always talk about that. All right, I want you guys to answer that poll question. Let me see. Dang, Will Campbell dominating this poll. Got some Will Campbell stands in here. So this is a money question right here. Do you see BK keeping any other assistants? Do you think his coordinators join him in Baton Rouge? I don't know. So the first thing is, I don't know exactly how I feel about Tommy Rees, right? We have such a small sample size of what's up, Jonathan? We have such a small sample size of Tommy Rees, right? He took over as the offensive coordinator when they fired Chip Long. And look, Tommy Rees is probably a really talented guy. I listened to an interview he did with a Notre Dame site. And this is very interesting. This is true. The Hundo Club Lounge is great. So right now, let me go through. Rod, Robert, Jason, Jared, Master Blaster, Jim, and Blake, and LJ are about part of the 100 Club. Oh, he is going to return to Washington. So I wasted all that time talking about Jake Hayner for nothing. So a lot of late 90 LSU fans really want Kev Falk to come back. I get it. And look, Kev Falk hasn't really had a chance to really coach this year because of his tragedy. Let's see. So Will Campbell's currently leading our poll. All right, Jesse, we'll see you. Next live stream will be Saturday night. Okay. Good question here. So thoughts on Trevor Etienne? I think he's good. I'll stand by what I said when I first looked at the three big backs. Okay. Now, pity poker party. You got to look at the poll question a little more closely, Jonathan, if you thought Quincy Wiggins should be an answer. Okay? Unless you think Quincy Wiggins will play tight end, which he's a freak. He probably could. Just go to Mike here. Mike, now that's a photo right there. He's got a choke in every big game he coaches for y'all. Mike, I'm just staring at your manliness, man. That is some. I never thought I would see a hairier chest than mine, but here we are. Welcome to the channel, Mike Oxlong. Master Blaster. So, yeah, I mean, look, if you were to ask me this question as far as running backs are concerned, would I rather John Emery or Jahmyr Gibbs? Jahmyr Gibbs. Would I rather John Emery or Zach Evans? I'd probably take John Emery, knowing that Zach Evans can be a headache at times, but Zach Evans is a better player. I think LSU should push for Jahmyr Gibbs. I really do. I love me some Jahmyr Gibbs. I know college, he's been fine. I still think he is special. But yeah, RB should be an area strength. Rod, what LSU's, by the way, Rod, part of the Hundo Club, along with Master Blaster, Jason, and all our Hundo Club members. What LSU staff does Kelly? Oh, yeah. King Robert. What LSU staff does Kelly ideally need to help with LA Texas recruiting? That's a really good question. So let's start with the obvious, right? It seems as if Will Campbell's recruiting is somewhat tied to Brad Davis. So obviously Will Campbell is leading the poll here. And I think a lot of you, even if I would have said, who is your number one offensive player in this class, without the non-QB part of the poll question you're saying, I think a lot of you would still say Will Campbell. So once again, Will Blackwell, who I know fairly well, All-American offensive lineman, knows way more about offensive line play than I do, says Will Campbell is really special. So Will doesn't just throw compliments around either. Seems as if Will Campbell is, big. So obviously Brad Davis is going to be pretty big. I really do like Brad Davis a lot, Rod. I really do. I would really like to see him hang around. But I've always said this as well, right? I think the third most important assistant you have on your staff, just in general, is always going to be your offensive line coach, right? Offense coordinator, defense coordinator, you got to have a good offensive line coach. You see how much better our unit has looked this year with Brad, right? Rough start. The run blocking wasn't great, but part of run blocking is scheme, right? We also have seen Cardell Thomas get on the field. We've also seen Marcus Doomerville get on the field. Would have liked to have seen it last year, but they're at the least playing. Okay. So I do think, Rod, Brad Davis is key. Obviously, Corey Raymond is the number one assistant on this team based on tenure, based on what he's done, based on what he's recruited. You notice this. Yes, Bryce Anderson was committed. He decommitted. We've had a few other safeties from Texas decommit. Not his fault. Corey Raymond is more the corners guy anyway. Both of those guys are safeties. Jacoby Mathews is not a corner. So far, we had 3 cornerbacks committed. Marcus Scott was kind of... And despite everything that's happened, Corey Raymond has held on to LaTerrence Welch, who can go to any school in the world he wants to go to because he is a beast. And he also has Jadarian Rom still committed. So Corey Raymond is, to me, a very key piece. Okay? So Rod, it then brings up this interesting question. Okay? And I want you guys to answer this as honestly as you possibly can. Okay? Type Y for yes. Type N for no. As many of you know, there's no such thing as a must-have assistant. Okay? We've won a lot of national championships with first-year coordinators. We've won a lot of national championships with first-year coaches, first-year assistant coaches. Okay? There's no such thing as a must-have assistant. Okay? So, let's take it down a notch. And let me ask you this question. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Is it an absolute, positively must-have situation for LSU to bring back Mickey Joseph? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I want your honest opinion on this, okay? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Okay? As Simplify prepares our PHL crawfish party, Y for yes, N for no. It's an absolute near 100% certainty that we got to make sure we get Mickey back. Jared says no. Charlie says no. LJ Rain says no. Looks like we're pretty split on this. Rod, the guy who initially brought up this question, well, not this specific question. Chris says yes. Leonard says yes. Jermaine says no. No, 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 no. Rod's a big Mickey Joseph fan. Okay, let me ask you this, Rod, and take your time typing this out. How important is it to have Mickey Joseph? Why? Why do you think Mickey Joseph is so important? Okay. Brennan says no. Byron says yes. So, yeah, I agree with this, Simplify. I do. But that's why I included that long diatribe before I actually asked the question, because we all know every coach can be replaced. But on a priority level, Chris says as a recruiter, Herbie says yes. Okay. Brandon Lewis says no. Russell Gage fan right there. I like that. Deion Jones fan. Jeff says no. Jeff. Oh, Jeff, you look a lot like Jesus there. That's a good photo. So this is an interesting point. Now, a lot of you know that I like Mickey Joseph a lot, right? And so this is a big thing, all right? Rod says New Orleans coaches are a tight group, and Mickey has those relationships, okay? So people that follow the ins and outs of recruiting, okay? Now, I'll say this. I am not Sam Spiegelman. I'm not Shea Dixon. So I can't claim to know these high school coaches, right? And I don't know the relationship that Mickey has with the coaches, but I have been told that it is really, really, really tight. So for those that don't know, Mickey Joseph is currently rumored to go to Nebraska, where he played college football and he was a phenomenal player, right? So I do agree with this. Joseph is a big New Orleans recruiting guy. Add to that Napier is now at Florida now, and it's going to raid Louisiana hard. Joseph is a 100% vital to keep. I do agree with this, especially considering how good Billy has done getting some really good New Orleans players. I will say this. I believe Montrell Johnson's from New Orleans, and I believe I heard this once again. I hear so many different stuff from viewers, but someone did send me a message earlier this year saying that New Orleans coaches were begging people to look harder at Montrell Johnson. But yeah, Florida's done okay with Louisiana prospects. I don't think you have to worry about, the New Orleans to Florida pipeline at the same time. But still, Mickey does have a really tight relationship with those coaches. Okay. But I'll say this, and Rain brings up a very interesting point. What about the actual coaching of the wide receiver position? Has it actually been good? And I think it has. We've seen some really good wide receivers develop. I will also say this, that Louisiana's track record of great wide receivers is truly something to behold. Obviously, this last decade has just been incredible. 4 different Pro Bowl wide receivers. Jamar Chase is going to be the 5th in the past decade from Louisiana. And that's just the LSU receivers, okay? 2 of them were 5-star or high-level 4 stars, or 3 of them were 2 5 stars and high-level 4 stars, and 2 of them were 3 stars or below. So Justin Jefferson and DJ Chark, and then the 4 and 5 stars were Odell, Jarvis, and now Jamar, okay? So we've had, and even before that, right, it's Michael Clayton, Reuben Randall, early Doucette, whoever you want to mention. So Louisiana, it's just never, the well is never going to run drive wide receivers, right? Next class, you have Shaz Preston, and then after that, you got Shelton Sampson out of Catholic High, and the young man out of North Louisiana who's already committed. Okay, so it's just wide receiver U, right? The state. And Louisiana wide receivers also won a Heisman Trophy. The list goes on and on, right? But tell me this, okay? And this is key right here. Joseph currently has 4 to 5 freshman wide receivers who could play in the NFL, which is true. I think if we all had a poll right now, outside of Chris Hilton, who can really, really, really run, I think if we had a poll, we would say at least 3 of the true freshman wide receivers are going to, at the very least, make an NFL camp. Okay. We could say with near certainty that Jack Besh will and BTJ will get drafted. And Dion and Malik will probably get drafted as well. Okay. So, obviously, Mickey Joseph's done a really good job with that. But can I ask you a question? And I want you right now to answer this. Y or N? Okay. Type Y for yes. Type N for no. Has there been multiple instances where you watching the game at home have said, wait, what is going on with our wide receiver rotation right now? Okay. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Okay. Have you said that to yourself? What is going on with our wide receiver rotation right now? In the past 2 years since Joe Brady has left. Okay. $12 times yes. LJ, yes. Once again, LJ, I'm going to get your booger bands out. Rod, yes. Scott, yes. Captain says no. Randall, good to see you tonight. Grant, good to see you, man. Jared says no. It says yes. Amacat says yes. Tyler, the president of the Nuss fan club, man. Chet wanted more Jontre. Okay. I disagree, but here we are. And this is a key. Joseph is trying to spread the wealth of snaps across wide receivers so they don't leave. So here's a key thing, Rod. And I'm really glad you brought this up about the assistant coaches. Okay. There's two things I've always said about assistant coaches. Okay. The first is there is a lot more to assistant coaching that has to do with what your next job is going to be than you probably think. Okay. As in, there is so much that goes into being an assistant coach, so much volatility. It is so hard to even get your foot in the door to be an assistant coach. Okay. Right. Here's something that I do see happening. Kyle Williams is currently a defensive coordinator at Ruston. I think Kyle Williams is going to have like a meteoric rise in the coaching industry, right? I don't think anyone would disagree with that. If he really wants to be a head coach one day at non-Power 5 or Power 5 level, right? But even Kyle Williams, who is, one of the best LSU football players of all time, especially when you bring in NFL productivity. And he lives in Ruston, so it's convenient, but he's starting at the high school level, right? It's hard to get your foot in the door for any coaching job. Okay. So I always say this whenever I evaluate assistant coaches, that there's so much more to what they do than just coaching their position. And the second part of this is I can't say who actually does the rotations because I don't know. We don't know who actually makes the decisions for not only wide receiver rotation, but this was a complaint I heard a lot last year was running back rotation, right? We don't know who actually makes that call. Leonard. Good night, man. I appreciate it. So that's the thing, Reed. This is the point I'm making. So I don't know. I don't know if Mickey Joseph actually makes the decision about which wide receivers actually go in. That could be Jake Peets. That could be Steve Ensminger from last year. But what I could tell you is the wide receiver rotation patterns we had from last year to this year seem very similar, right? And when it was Joe Brady, when Joe Brady was here, it was tighter, right? We kept the best wide receivers on the field at all time. Leonard, shoot me an email tomorrow so we can catch up, please. I want to know more about everything that's going on. So, Rod, I do see your logic here. We need to keep as many wide receivers as we possibly can. But at the same time, it is interesting that I see some wide receiver lineups and I'm like, well, I don't know who on the field really is going to make safeties sit back on their heels. What I could tell you is when Malik Neighbors is on the field, safeties are like, okay, I got to watch my back. When BTJ is on the field, I know for sure those DBs are like, okay, this dude can burn me. I gotta look out for him. And obviously when Jack Besh is on the field, the scary thing about Jack Besh is that he could do a little bit of everything, right? I don't know if I could say that about every wide receiver, though, right? I'll tell you this, though. In 2019, when that wide receiver rotation was tight, when they had a ridiculous amount of chemistry with Joe Burrow, they were unstoppable. And at the same time, Max Johnson, and Rod, I'm interested in your thoughts on this. At the same time, Max Johnson's chemistry with some wide receivers just isn't as good as it is with others, right? I'm the biggest Ray Jenkins fan on the planet. I haven't even mentioned his name yet, okay? I know Rain bugs me about this all the time, and Reed as well. And I'm not bringing up his name because he just had a really good game. But I'll be the first to tell you that Dre is not, this unbelievable talent, right? He's just really good. He makes himself very catchable. Like, he runs good routes. He gets open. And honestly, his 2 deep touchdown catches, the final one was a perfectly thrown ball. And his first one was because Trey Palmer set as good of a rub route pick you'll ever see. Oh, dang. Blanche, I'm really sorry about that, man. I was wondering where you were. Man, wow. I'm sorry about that, man. I really am. Shout out to you, man. I'm really sorry about that. And I know, man, I'm really sorry, Blanche. Yeah, I'll show Blanche some love here. Dang, Blanche. God, I was, because you're in every chat, and I was wondering where you were. And that's the hard thing about this channel. Man. Well, Blanche, shoot me an email if you can. I don't have your email. So shoot me an email if you can. powerhourlsu@gmail.com. I want to send you some stuff. God, I just gave away gave away my booger bands. I think I actually have one over here. Or Haley has one, or I'll just send you mine. I'll send you a care package, man. So shoot me an email, Blanche, powerhourlsu@gmail.com, and I'll for sure take care of you. And thank you for always supporting the channel. I really do appreciate it. Blanche also is, very respected member of this club. And I also know you want me to get back into some LSU discussion. I'm really sorry, Blanche. I know that's God. And as you guys know, this is a very dad-friendly channel. We always shout out all the super dads in here. Ulysses, Chris, everyone in here. I'm really sorry to hear that, man. I really am. So shout out to your dad. What was your father's name? Let's get to it. There you go. Well, look at this. This is a rather uplifting thing. There you go. Right here. What a perfect timing. There you go. You got her? I do, baby. I got her right here. In honor of Blanche's dad. Baby? I got her, baby. She's wired. Come here. So we done really well. Blake's in here, baby.
Hey.
Blake dropped a hundo.
Who's Blake?
Blake Lansing.
Oh, really?
She was like, do I know Blake?
What?
There you go.
What's Blake's name?
Patrick, man. May he rest in peace. In honor of Blanche's dad. Blake was in here earlier, man. Dropped a hundo. You'll see him right.
Oh, God.
So Blake and his lovely wife.
Lauren, love. There's Blake.
There he is right there. So Blanche, we'll get back in LSU football chat. I'm really sorry for your loss, man.
Hey, see your eyes. All right. She's on one.
She's on one tonight. She don't want to hang to it. It takes a while for, you guys know with Booger, she was not good in front of the camera at first. We gave away our last book bands tonight, so we're going to order some more tonight.
Okay, baby. You got it. I have full faith in you.
She has full faith. Now I'll order the book band. Kirkland is a Russell Gage type of player. So once again, Blanche, my condolences to you. I know you're kind of a low-key guy as well. You don't like all the attention on you. So we will move on here. But, man, I really appreciate you, man, from the bottom of my heart. And please, if you can, shoot me an email, and I'm gonna get some booger bands to you immediately. And if any of you are suffering something like that, I'll send you booger bands and all that stuff. It's good stuff, man. So let's go back to Rod's comment here. Max has good chemistry with Jure, Kayshawn, and Besh in particular. Exactly. And that should be your wide receiver rotation next year. Okay? Master Blaster. You know I love you, man. Good night to you and your wonderful daughter there. Love it, man. Oh, okay. I know somebody wanted me to do it a little bit earlier. The Master Blaster, Tony Bryant. I love it, man. I love it. So this is it right here. Okay. Ryan, let me know what you think about Rain's comment here. It's hard for a quarterback to get in a rhythm when every snap 4 wide receivers come in with different credentials. And that's the thing, right? This is a really good example of this, okay? I want you, wherever you are, okay, to go back and watch the 2019 LSU offense, okay? It's one thing when Jamar and Justin just got wide open, okay, to where Miles Brennan could have thrown the football, or even Max Johnson could have thrown the football, or Justin Jefferson, insert any mediocre quarterback's name. But go back and actually rewatch and look at how many back shoulder throws were made. Look at how many you just need Jesus. Yeah, Blanche, shoot me an email if you can. But how many, Rod, let me know what you think about this. How many back shoulder throws were made in 2019 that were like legit 50-50 balls, right? And Joe put it to where they can only catch it, right? It's hard. And you have to keep in mind that what made 2019 so special is Joe had chemistry with everyone on that offense except for Thad Moss. That was the only player he didn't have snaps with before the season began. Terrace got a lot of snaps. Jamar got a lot of snaps, especially at the end of the year. And then, of course, Justin was his number one guy. Okay? So, Rod, I do think that, yes, you do need wide receiver rotation. You can't play guys wire to wire. Okay? But at the same time, Rod, I do think, you know, it's pretty clear that the 3 guys that Max had the most chemistry, and Rod, you were right on the money. You took the words right out of my mouth. If we're just talking in terms of just chemistry, it's Jack Besh, Keyshawn Butte, and Jeray Jenkins. Okay? Now, Jeray is not the most talented wide receiver on this team. Okay? I think it's pretty clear that Keyshawn's more talented, Jack's more talented, BTJ definitely has a higher ceiling. I would say Dion does as well. Our sample is a little small, and probably Malik. So those are 5 wide receivers that are all returning next year that all have higher ceilings. 4 of those guys are freshmen, okay? And Keyshawn is just way better than every one of them. So when you have a rotation, when only 4 are going to be on the field, and remember this, Brian Kelly is coming in next year, and Brian Kelly's strongest position, even though it is not the offensive line, his best position has actually been tight end. So Brian Kelly's going to have really good tight end play, right? He's going to have Mason Taylor next year to work with. He's going to have Jack Besh to work with if he wants to keep Jack Besh at that hybrid tight end role. So what does that mean if we're going to have tight end play? Well, we're going to have a running back on the field more often than not. So we're going to be running, I believe in theory, 11 personnel. Okay. So we're not going to have more than 3 wide receivers on the field. 2019 LSU, we were 11 personnel. What was it, like 80 or 90% of the time? I think we're going to move back to more 11. Now, I hate it that Jay Hill's not in here tonight. So, he can get more into like 11 and 12 personnel and how much of an advantage it is to keep those personnel groupings the same, because it can give you so much advantage when you go tempo, right? So let's talk about Max Johnson. So hopefully that was a great question. A really great question, Rod. I appreciate you. I want to talk about Max for a little bit. Blanks wants to talk about some Max. Max played his best game. He is finally starting to show true grit. I agree. So you go look at Max's QBR. As many of you know, I like QBR a lot. It's not the be-all, end-all. Sometimes I think it's a little inaccurate, but Max's QBR was in the 70s, which is a obviously really good thing. Max has not had great QBR this year. He's been under the 50s for quite some time. A 50 QBR means you are a replacement level quarterback. Okay? So, as many of you know, I'm curious how you guys feel about Max Johnson's performance. I thought Max played really well. I did. Now, there were some questionable things. First throw of the game, he missed Trey Palmer on a wide open out. Once again, we go back to that chemistry thing. And the timing of some of his throws and decisions aren't great. But Max did finally show 1,000 games into his career now that he can step up in the pocket and take the yards that are needed. Okay. We also had him break and contain and scrambling some. We had some zone read mixed in there, where one of the more underrated plays of the second half, because we had a disastrous second half, was when he slid too early and we didn't get a first down. That was such a low IQ football play. I was like, Max, you can't slide there. You got to dive forward and just make sure we get those first down yards. So, it's interesting, right? I do think Max has a decent shot to be the starter next year. That's just where we are right now. Okay. So yeah, obviously this was a step in the right direction. The clutch drive, Max did not have good left tackle play. He's not as great as Brad Davis has been this year. I really do think he's been great. We are lacking some talent, right? Ed Ingram played Herculean the second half of the year. He's going to be gone. As much crap as we've given Liam for getting drilled into the backfield, he's a tough SOB. I mean, Liam goes out there and gives it his all. He's consistent, puts in the work, speaks to the media. I would have liked to have seen some other centers. I would have liked to have seen some other centers get some snaps this year, guys. So yeah, it's interesting. But then, I'm interested what all of you think of this. I know the Master Blaster went to bed. Brian in Vegas, what's good? Pegasus, good to see you. Scarlett, it's been a while. Hey, Cheryl. Let's see. Hitman still in here. Daniel. Max is nothing but a backup. I know Zay is in here somewhere. He is the president of the Max Hater fan club. KO holding him down for the OP. Are you down with OP? Amacat's in here tonight. Good to see you, my guy. Liam's gone. Deculus is gone. Deculus has played well these last couple of weeks. So, yeah. Some of you want to talk about Gary Nussmeier? I'm down to talk some Nuss. So first thing about Nuss, okay, I like Nuss a lot. I do think he's really talented. Guys, I've got to say, I don't. Thank you, Grant, for the super chat. I love it, man. I honestly think this redshirting thing is going to come back and bite us so hard. I don't know who. I hope it doesn't. I hope Nuss wins us a national championship. Okay. Nuss was on the sideline. Here's something I can always say about Nuss is that he is a good teammate. Okay. He is a good teammate. He is always celebrating for everyone on the field. Okay. So the bottom line is I think Nuss should have just played this season out. Look, if you would have gotten beat at, let's just say Nuss wins the job next year anyway. If you would have gotten beaten out, you could have redshirted any of those years. Dead serious. Unless Nuss and his dad just don't like Baton Rouge at all, and they just want to go to a new school, and they have a new school already picked out, then I totally get the redshirting thing. But you just play. Guys, sports isn't supposed to be overthunked, right? If you have 1 year of eligibility left, totally get it. If you have 2 years of eligibility left, I would somewhat get it. But you would have had 3 years left. Okay? Now, this is the craziest thing about college football. College football is the wackiest, weirdest sport we have in American sports. Okay? There's nothing that comes close to this. All right? What's happened in the past week has been so nuts. It's obscene what's happened in the past week with the coaching changes and all the other tomfoolery that comes along with college football. Okay? But here's something that I think about a lot. The two players that had the two most spectacular seasons we've ever seen at the quarterback position never got meaningful game reps with their initial school, as they backed up other players who were all-time greats at their position. Okay? So as many of you know, Cam Newton never really got the chance to do his thing at Florida. Now, I don't think he would have been the same player at Florida as he was at Auburn. That experience was probably good for him, humbled him, goes to the junior college, and then he goes to Auburn. Same thing with Joe Burrow, right? I doubt he's the same player at Ohio State that he was at LSU because he wouldn't have had that chip on the shoulder. But still, it's pretty crazy, right? That they never, the two best players, name a sport where the two best players, the two clear-cut best seasons ever. So what does that tell you? That quarterback play is not a meritocracy. It's not. The best quarterback doesn't always play. Right? And quarterbacks develop at different speeds. And there's different stories for every quarterback that has ever played the college game. And I've said plenty of times, I don't like it when true freshman quarterbacks have to play. But at the same time, you can't turn down game reps. You can't, especially now with the transfer portal being the way that it is now, right? So what if Lincoln Riley would have been the coach at LSU, right? And Caleb Williams would have come along with him. Well, let's just say that happened. Well, if you're Garrett Nussmeier, you lost out on game reps for you to say, hey, I deserve this QB1 spot. And you're going to back up Caleb Williams next year anyway. Let's just say that did happen. It's a very plausible thing that was being rumored. Well, you would have been benched anyway, and you could have redshirted next year anyway. So I still never understood it. It never made sense. It never made sense. Okay? You don't come to college to sit the bench. You don't. You play. When you're given the opportunity, you just got to play. Now, would Garrett Nussmeier and everyone around the Nussmeiers and every coach in the world would have rather this happen for Nussmeier's second year? Yes. But guess what, folks? Life ain't perfect. You're not always given the reps when you think you need those reps. Okay? Exactly. Don't you think Ohio State fans sometimes sit and wonder, God, would have been nice for us to see Joe actually get his shot to play? You're not guaranteed those reps. And full disclosure, Dwayne Haskins should have been the starter, right? Now, Joe Burrow's better, but Dwayne Haskins almost won the Heisman. And Tim Tebow did win the Heisman. So I'm not saying that Cam Newton and Joe would have played. I'm actually saying the opposite. Those guys were so great, the two best to ever do it at the college level, the two best seasons we've ever seen in the sport, and they still couldn't see the field. When you go to a major Division I school, you're not guaranteed reps ever. Think about Max Johnson. Look at the miracle it took for Max Johnson to even be where he is now. It took Miles Brennan hurting, and it took TJ Finley not being all that great for Max to even get on the field and be where he is right now. It's amazing. Experience is huge for QB performance, especially as defensive preparation has increased in sophistication, analytics, and studying tendencies. Yeah, you play. You flat out play, especially at quarterback. You play. Right? And that's the thing. I think Justin Fields, anyone you want to mention regarding this, I think they wouldn't have been as good at their initial schools as they were at their secondary schools. Obviously, we can't really know that. But that's the scary thing about college football. At least Justin Fields got competitive game reps, right? Joe and Cam really never got those reps. And they shouldn't have, right? Because Haskins and Tebow were so good, right? I do agree with this, though. If Nuss really is good enough, though, he will eventually succeed somewhere, right? Especially with the redshirt rule being the way that it is. But once again, I go back to it. If Walker Howard beats you out as the starter or the backup next year, you were going to redshirt next year anyway. So once again, if Nuss is planning on redshirting and transferring this year, he made the right decision for himself. So Blanche wants to know about Jake Peets. Well, it's been a fun chat. Last night was fun. This night's been a lot of fun too. Any chat where Cat Williams gets brought up is always a good chat. Dang, Will Campbell has dominated this poll. Will Campbell's got a fan club on this channel. I like it. Human waste. Ugh. Huh? Yeah, Blanche, not a lot of Pete's guys in here. I wish Jason was in here. Jason's one of our top super chatters. He's a huge Max defender. So you know what's funny about the Wildcat call? Okay, and I think a lot of you diehards are really going to love this. So I looked on gameonpaper.com, which is like an advanced analytics website, and it's really cool. So they do EPA per play for every game. Okay. So this is what's really key. All right. The EPA per play, or the negative EPA in that Arkansas game, the Wildcat call was the most influential call in that game per the analytics by a wide margin. That's how bad of a call it was. And what really makes it crazy was that and Big Al's Josh, I'm with you. Blanche, I'm going to send you some bands. But Big Al's been trying to flip, man, doing the eBay flips on YouTube. Big Al, I love it, man. But it is funny. Like, that was one of the statistically worst calls this year. It had the most EPA change. And it's hard to do that when it doesn't result. When a play results in a touchdown, the expected points added is so much higher. But the Wildcat call was that bad. Roby, what's good, man? No, Big Al, look, you do your thing, man. You do your thing. Walker Howard will start next year. This is also true from Pegasus. If Walker Howard is your day one starter, he's going to be the only QB on your roster going into the season. There might be some truth to that. Yeah, that wasn't a good call either, Hitman. It really was a bad call. You know what's interesting about fade routes? Okay. So I spoke to an offensive coordinator about this, right? Successful OC, and I brought up goal line fades to him, and he talked about how much he hates them. So this is what he told me about goal line fades, is that what offensive coordinators think goal line fades are, they think it's a safe play, but it's not a safe play, right? Goal line fades could be a pick very easily because there's so much arm fighting, and it makes it really hard to call pass interference, right? So Oregon lost a game this year because Stanford kept running goal line fades and they kept getting penalties on it. And then obviously the Ohio State-Miami game. So the first thing I hate about goal line fades is it puts the official in an impossible spot because it's just a wide receiver and a D-back just hand fighting. That is exactly what a goal line fade is, right? The second thing I hate about a goal line fade is it's such a low percentage play, okay? Even if it's freaking Randy Moss, you got to make a decent throw, right? I don't know. I hate goal line fades. But in this situation, if I'm not mistaken, this was a goal line fade from Garrett Nussmeier to Devonta Smith or Devonta Lee. For all the marbles. That makes sense. It doesn't. And there's a lot of things I've liked from Jake, but man, I know this. If I'm a head coach, I'm never hiring a first-year coordinator. I don't think ever. It could be Pee Wee football. I'm going to ask, have you called plays before? Okay. It's either have you called plays before, or do you have at least 5 years of experience on the hardest level of Madden? If you don't have at least 5 years of Madden experience, I'm not hiring you. Next, you have Megatron as your receiver. And then we go back to chemistry. It's so weird that like Megatron's only QB was Stafford, and like Stafford is still playing. It's wild that like Megatron started his career after Tom Brady, played a full career, got into the Hall of Fame, and Brady is still playing. Ooh, that route was filthy. It did help Mechie's a really good route runner. That's that. Oh, yeah. The Hunter Renfro special. Ooh, I know it's a sore subject, but did you see that route that Diggs ran versus Marshawn Lattimore? And I love Marshawn. And Marshawn, you're watching this. I got 3 of your rookie cards. I sold all my Stephon Diggs cards this offseason. Dead serious. And I only had one of them. I got 3 Marshawn Lattimore rookies. I'm a big Marshawn fan. But Stephon Diggs pulled the John Mechie on Lattimore. It was filthy. Chris, you'll smoke me in Madden, but not FIFA. I haven't played FIFA. I haven't played video games in 3 years. I could pick up a controller and beat 99% of the world in FIFA. I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. I will destroy you. Okay? You can have Barcelona. I can have Leeds United. I'm beating you 6-0. Yeah, I would agree with this as well. I just still think Spencer Rattler is going to go somewhere where he can actually play. I'll do it with Liverpool. You don't want me to get Liverpool, man. I will Mo Salah you to death, Chris. But you see, I wouldn't want to come to your house and do that in front of your lovely child here and embarrass you in front of your entire family, Chris. You'll be taking that blue backwards hat off and being like, God, I knew I shouldn't have messed with this guy. Bro, Sadio Mane to Bobby Firmino. You wouldn't be ready. Well, yeah, you would beat me with Dortmund, man. They have Erling Haaland. By the way, Lewandowski not getting the Ballon d'Or? Rattler to UGA, I could see that. I've been top 10 on Ultimate Team and just beat the 3rd-ranked guy in Madden 17. Yes, Amacat, because Madden 17. Who's still playing Madden 17, Amacat? Yes. Let me guess, you're playing that on GameCube? Really? Who are you? Who's still playing Madden 17? Right? Next thing you know, Amacat's going to be saying, guys, I got you in Pong. Yeah, y'all guys ain't got nothing on me in Pong. Oh, man. I also know Amacat could take a joke because he's been with me for a while now. I always got to be careful, though, on here. I don't want anyone... Blake was in here earlier. Blake's a comedian. So he could take jokes. All right? Otis is back! Otis is back! I was wondering where you were, Otis. Oh, man. That's an inside joke right there. Who remembers Otis? I love it, man. No cube shaming, please. Amacat hasn't commented yet since then. Amacat is like, gosh darn it. Huh? Oh, man. Dang. I mean, no one can handle Amacat, man. He's playing with the Steelers with prime Antonio Brown and prime Le'Veon Bell. Nobody's beating that lineup, man. Nobody. Oh, man. Oh. Because the new Maddens are garbage. So you know what's funny, McKenna? Actually, I've heard this at the new Maddens. I'm not a gamer. I'm not. Anyone knows that still plays the older versions. Frostbite sucks for Madden. Yeah, I don't know. I quit playing football video games after NCAA. I was one of those people. Okay, NCAA 14, RIP. Okay. Amacat playing Madden with Ray Lewis and Troy Polamalu in the game. I love it, man. Amacat's starting lineup was Y.A. Tittle with Red Grange and Jim Thorpe. His defense on Super Team was Ray Nitschke, Franco Harris. His coach. I love it, man. But no, I know a lot of people in here still play NCAA 14. You want to know what's interesting, Amacat, is I actually kind of became a Madden guy for a little bit. So Amacat has the newer versions of the game, but he goes back and plays the 17 version. That's so interesting to me. So are the rosters? I am curious about this. All right, and I know I'm losing all my viewers. We're 3 hours into it. We have fun after 2 hours. But does the Madden 17 version, does it have does it update the rosters? Like, can you play what the heck is Frostbite anyway? What is Frostbite? I don't even know what that is. I really don't. So on Madden 17, can you play with like Justin Jefferson? If that's the case, then I can understand not playing the newer ones. Does it still update the rosters for like modern day? This is so much fun, man. Did anyone see the oh really? It's the engine they used to, oh man, we're getting into it, man. So who in here, Haley, I think is getting me a gamer chair. Do any of y'all have gamer chairs? Because obviously most of my job now requires me to sit, especially for long periods of time. I'm like Scott Hansen. I don't do bathroom breaks, man. But his streams are like 7 hours long, and there's a million gazillion people watching him. 145 in area. That's a lot of fun, man. I think part of it, Jared, is just the coaching search. Hopefully we can keep these numbers up. We got a just random Tommy Casanova comment. That's cool. Number 37. Chris, if I decided to drive to wherever you live and I played FIFA and 7-0'd you with Mo Salah and Sadio Mane, you're going to want to throw your controller through your TV. And then your lovely family is going to watch you cry while you do that. And then they're not going to let you watch my channel anymore. And that's one less viewer. And obviously I need your support on the channel. So I can't play you in FIFA. I am Paul. I do think Charles Turner is going to come back bigger and better and healthier. And he'll be our starter there next year. Fingers crossed. Full hit, man. So at the PHL party we're going to throw this summer, it's going to be catered by Simplified Crawfish Company. Have you guys ever heard of Simplified Crawfish Company? They've already let me know that they're going to cater our party. We're going to have a Madden tournament. It's going to be Hitman versus Amacat. Okay. And it's going to be serious, right? Hitman's going to be out there with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce. And Amacat's going to be out there with Terry Bradshaw, Lynn Swan, and Jack Ham playing FIFA 83 or whatever, 73. Oh, man. Sure. What's up, Michael? Good to see you, man. Michael's a guitar guy, too. I liked it, Michael, because someone else posted a photo of them with a guitar. We had a really good super chat earlier about Brian Kelly's joke. But that guy had a guitar at the wedding. And Michael, you're holding I'm not a guitar guy. My best friend's a guitar player. Shout out to Scotty Z. So Simplify says, if you got the money, I got the time. Okay. Well, Simplify is going to. Well, as long as you take care of my crawfish, I'm good. I have a feeling Simplify Crawfish Company. Bucci! What's good, man? I have a feeling that Simplify Crawfish Company, I have a feeling your crawfish, I think your crawfish would have a good level of spice. It's a good question, Carl. Obviously, it was kind of awkward, right? So the Notre Dame strength and conditioning coach was offered the LSU job, and he said no. And it wasn't just that he said no, right? It was they released a video today of the Notre Dame strength coach addressing the players, right? So there's danger in this. Once again, the strength and conditioning world is very tough to get into. It's really hard to get your foot in the door. So the Notre Dame condition coach was offered to Baton Rouge, and he decided to stay at Notre Dame. So I could translate that into two different things. Number one, their strength and conditioning coach is from Chicago. I don't think he's ever been I think he's been in the South before, but I think most of his stops have been in the North, right? He's from Chicago. He's at Notre Dame. That's home for him. So I could see why he doesn't want to go to LSU. But at the same time, you can also translate that into that strength and conditioning coach probably getting word that Notre Dame is going to make an in-house head coaching hire, which I do think Marcus Freeman will eventually get the head coaching job if Luke Fickell decides to say no. Now, with that said, I'll throw this out here as well. I wonder what Tommy Moffitt thinks about all this, right? I know some of you really like Tommy Moffitt. I know people like Rain does not like Tommy Moffitt, or you think it's time to make a change. Rain, you've been very vocal about that. So it is interesting, right? I want to show you this real quick, guys. Boom. Notre Dame strength coaches already said no. Carrie, thank you. I appreciate that. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully this handshake will happen a lot for a lot of touchdowns. Let's go. It is kind of crazy on Jared. Everybody's got to have a crawfish business now, man. Everybody's got to have a crawfish business. Dude, that's how you get gotten, Jared. Those backyard boils. Even Mark Cuban could only throw like 3 or 4 of those a year, man. Goodness, man. You it used to be, hey, y'all, let's I'm thinking about having a crawfish boil. Oh, okay. Have you paid your mortgage yet? Tight ends will eat in the offense more. Huh? That's true. Maybe Michael Mayer's coming too. That'd be really cool. Michael Mayer is a beast. Him and Jack Besh are completely different players. Dang, Branson. Braden Johnson is as good a player as Citizen? So you know what's funny? I actually Simper says I've been bowling professionally since Sean Alexander was at the cover of the NCAA game. So you know what's funny, Branson? I actually read a comment, student report, actually a children's reporter actually caught up with the Brian Robinson, the Jaguars running back, who's one of the best running backs in the NFL. His name's like Brian Robinson, is it? Come on, James Robinson. And James Robinson said something very interesting, that as a 3-star running back, he never went to any camps. So that's why he was a 3-star. And he just didn't care to go to any camps. He just didn't want to go. And he was still able to make the NFL, right? So those camps are very important for you to go to if you want to get seen. You got to play 7-on-7 and all of that, because that's where a lot of the recruiting writers and coaches congregate. Not everybody's going to watch your film unless you're just like ridiculous. You still do need to go to the camps and be seen. Michael, I don't know quite yet. It kind of depends on the offensive coordinator, but I do think he's going to spread it out. Right? 3rd and 17 all over again. 40-pound sack with all the fixings. I do too. I didn't get to eat that much this past season. I miss crawfish boils more than I just miss crawfish. Yeah, Branson, shoot me an IG message and send me his tape. Oh. Oh, Citizen could definitely come back. Well, all right, guys. I'll keep this party moving. And if we get another super chat in the next 5 minutes, I'll happily continue this 3-hour live chat party. We'll see you Saturday, man. We'll have a video posted tomorrow at 6. Brandon, thank you for the Venmo. I appreciate that. Well, I'm definitely going to watch this tape now. Oh, crap. So the young man, this is very interesting. Okay, I just saw this right here. So Devin Moore is a corner who is committed to Notre Dame, and he decommitted, and Daronte Jones was the one who visited him in home with the young man. Very interesting. I like Daronte, guys. Out of Naples, Florida. 3-star safety. Got a Bama offer. Very interesting. I don't want that. There you go. Wait, hey G, are you really up there near Notre Dame? We do need more safeties. It's pretty interesting though. So Devin Moore has a Bama offer. It's very fascinating. So he's got a Bama offer. Does he have an LSU offer? Let me see. I would guess he would if he just decommitted from the school. Notre Dame, Bama, Auburn. I don't have an LSU offer. Yeah, hey, G, we're going to do some big meetup, hopefully this off season. I still don't know why we want to offer Jordan Allen. I just don't get it. I don't. I'll tell you this. A lot of you are like me. Just recruit the boot and whatever happens, happens. Okay. I do think it's going to be, I don't know. But I'll tell you this. Did you guys see who was on the field? Garden Jack Besh, Jordan Gilbert, right? True freshman out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Played a lot for Texas A&M this past weekend. And Jordan Gilbert, we just waited too long to offer him, right? And once again, it could just be that they have a lot of injuries. But I don't know. I really did like Jordan Gilbert coming out. I really did. Here's why I think we should go ahead and offer Jordan Allen and just a few more DBs. I know we're waiting on Osbury to commit. I know we're waiting on a few other guys. But the reason why it's important is because, number one, we have a lot of DBs that get injured. And number two, DBs give you a lot of value on special teams. But anyway, well, all right, guys. Thank you guys so much for making these live streams the absolute best ever. They really are a lot of fun, and it's thanks to you guys. Once again, thanks to our 100 Club members tonight. I really appreciate it. You know, it's really special when you guys really help us out, right? And of course, that was my dear friend Blake, fellow comedian. Special thanks to Rod and King Robert, both dropping $100 bills. Also, this past weekend, we had Robert, dropping hundos, helping us out big time. Jared also helping us out. Master Blaster also helping us out. Ulysses, I got to say this. I know he's not watching anymore. Antoine and Greg have just been killing it with the super chats. Antoine, the best mustache on PHL. It's really cool stuff. So I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And if you're not able to donate, that's fine too. Thank you guys for making the channel what it is now. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys tomorrow, 6 p.m. Central. I'll drop another video. Our next live stream won't be until Saturday, and it will be later in the night. So it won't be a 7 p.m. Central live stream. It will be a little bit later as I got something earlier in the day. So we'll see you Saturday. It is. You do out that boot. I appreciate you. And you're always throwing up the mails, baby. My guy. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. Shout out to Semper throwing the crawfish bowl for us to when we do our PHL meetup. And none of y'all want me in FIFA all day, every day. Let's go.